Here we are in Adobe Photoshop, and I have an old Instagram carousel right here. This is kind of the basic setup of how I used to do them. Of course, I found an even better, more efficient way to create seamless Instagram carousel posts. That's the key with what we're going to be doing today, is they're not just these individual slices or individual posts. They all are linked together visually. So there might be a photo that links all the way through several different posts. Well, how do we do that? You would think, let's create different artboards and link them close together, but there's a problem with that in Adobe Photoshop. In Adobe Illustrator, that could work, but in Adobe Photoshop, you have photos that go within one artboard and it's cut off. Artboards don't really link together because in Adobe Photoshop, artboards are treated as separate layers. If you could see here, the different layers are really different folders. And so if they're treated as different folders, you can't have the same file in both folders and have it extend across. You can, but you have to duplicate it and line it up perfectly. And that's an absolute mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up a little bit differently. So with an Instagram post, I'm going to show you the final that we're going to be creating in the course. You can see how this one is divided with slices. And we haven't used slices in the course yet, but a lot of web designers would use slices to slice up their web design to easily export different JPEGs. So we're going to do that today, and I also have some guides that are helping me know when the different post slides end and begin. So we have to do a little bit of math. So depending on how many slides you want is going to depend on our total document size. What we're going to do is we're going to create one big long document and slice it up. So what we need to do is figure out what is 10 times 1080. A standard Instagram post is 1080 by 1080 pixels. So if we have 10 slides, we just multiply 1080 by 10, and we're going to get a total width of 10,800. And our height will stay the same. If you want to do 4 posts, then 1080 times 4 is 4,320 pixels in width. So we're going to go back and we're going to do 10,800. So let's create a new document. So width is going to be 10,800. Our height is going to remain the same. I always like to do a resolution of 300, and let's keep everything the same. And we're not going to be using artboards for this, and we're going to click on create. So one big long document. So now we need to figure out how we're going to divide this up evenly in 10 different slices. We need to make sure our grids are turned on so we can kind of see what's about to happen. So we're just going to go to View. We're going to go down to Show and just make sure Grid is turned on. So Grid is turned on. So right now I already have it set up where it's going to work out perfectly evenly divided into 10 slices. Well, how do I do that? I'm going to go up to Photoshop, Preferences, and I'm going to go down to Grids, Guides, and Slices. That's exactly what we're using today. And we're going to edit one little area. So everything else is going to remain as default. And we're going to go right down here to Grid, and it's going to be subdivisions. We have 10 different posts in this, so we're going to do 10. If you did 4, if you're doing 4 different posts, you'd do 4 different subdivisions. So it's going to equally divide the whole area by 10. And a grid line every 100%. So every 100% it's going to do a subdivision, and it's going to do 10 different boxes at 100%. So let's click on OK, and it should automatically do it for us. Wonderful. So now let's say I don't want to have those grids all on all the time. Let's do something extra, and let's take our ruler down here with our ruler, and we're going to bring in some guides. So I'm going to click over to my ruler, and I have Snap to Grid on. So when I bring it over, it should snap it to grid, and this is going to really help me know where my post ends and where it begins. Just go to View and make sure your snap is on. It'll make your life a lot easier. Make sure it snaps, because if you're off just a little bit, it'll mess up the continuity of your images that go across. So just make sure it really snaps well as you move across the 10 different posts. So now we don't necessarily have to have grids on anymore because we have our guides set up. So you could just click them off if they bother you. I'm just turning off grids, or there's a keyboard shortcut too. that you can use. So now we have everything set up, and when we get finished, it's an easy way to export it. It's a slightly different way to export than I normally export posts. We're going to do like a legacy format in exporting, and we're going to be able to export each slice. So now there's one more thing we have to do. So we have these guides here, and we're able to create those because we put the grid on. So we have to do one more step. When we export this thing, we're going to need to export it nicely sliced up. Well, it's not going to know how to slice it with using guides. Guides are just visual aids. They're not a way to actually divide the document. So we're going to divide the document by using slices. So this is a new thing that I have not used in class before. So let's go over to our crop tool. If we click and hold, and of course your version might be a little bit different, what we're looking for is the slice tool right here. So with the slice tool selected, we're going to click and hold, and we're going to try to get as close as we can to this guide. So notice how it snaps. So I still have snap to point on. So that created the first slice. You'll see the O1 right there. And now we're just going to click, and we're going to create the second slice. So this is dividing this single document up into slices so we can export it. So I'm going to continue to just click and hold, so I can slice it up. And you got to be pretty careful with this, because if you're off just a little bit, then when you export, your image will be slightly off. They won't be seamless. So it seems like a lot of steps, but once you're set up, you're done. You don't have to do this step again. You could save it as a template, and you're ready to go. And speaking of templates, I already have this set up for you, so you don't have to worry about all these steps if you just want to open this up and get started with the design with me. So if that's you, let's go ahead and get started.